Karthik Kumar Chaudhary. Welcome, Karthik. Happy to see you here and begin this journey of doing lives in our page.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for that.
Karthik, you are an amazing person. We are connected for almost more than a year. We discussed a lot about ALAP, how we should start, and things like that. And now we have covered a significant journey. Of course, there is a long, long way to go, but at least we have started it. And this is the first live of ALAP. So, for the our audience, I would like to you to tell your journey in brief so that people can know who Karthik is.
Definitely, sir. It has been a great journey to be very honest because uh, entrepreneurship, innovation, these things are not something which can be taught overnight, and it is something that it has to be done in a lifestyle manner. That if you are an entrepreneur or if you wish to become an entrepreneur, it's like a complete journey which we have to get into that, and it's like a daily routine or daily lifestyle where you start seeing things in a very different manner. So my journey has been pretty simple. Trust me, I was also one of the very strugglers who started their journey right from fighting with their parents to have that first decision making process of getting into science, commerce, or arts, because that is the first trivial question which a usual student goes through, that साइंस लेना है कि कॉमर्स लेना है कि आर्ट्स लेना है, वहां पे सबसे बड़ी डिसीजन मेकिंग हो जाती है, जो एक कौन बनेगा करोड़पति के शो में भी आपको दिख जाता है जब ऑप्शंस चूज करना होता है. So I had different plans. I was into cricket and I wanted to become a cricketer, but somehow I didn't get that support from my parents and I had to land up in an engineering college. So, but then if you have a thought process in mind that you have to achieve something, nothing can stop you to kind of get to that domain, right? And I saw that studies was not something that was attracting me a lot, but I was definitely trying out a lot of things apart from studies, and that's what started kind of vibing with my maybe जो बोलते हैं ना कि हमारे जो हम सोच रहे हैं और जो हो रहा है अगर वो मिल जाता है, टर्निंग योर पैशन इनटू रियलिटी, तो फिर वो अलग ही मजा होता है. सो दैट्स वेयर लाइक आई स्टार्टेड टर्निंग और ट्राइंग आउट लॉट ऑफ स्टार्टअप्स और startup initiatives. First of all, my first product was an agriculture sector, which we had developed under government of Telangana, and we had won Smart India hackathon for that. So in our country, that is the biggest hackathon which is hosted, and we were one of the winners in agriculture sector. So that was definitely a boost for me to understand that this ecosystem can be something which I can pick up in my career at least. So once you cannot follow what you have planned for, then you start exploring a lot of things and then you find a passion again. So that's what has happened to me. एक पैशन नहीं फॉलो कर पाए तो दो तीन फिर ठोकरें खाने के बाद आई काइंड ऑफ गॉट टू अनदर पैशन. So I tried a lot of startups. फिर इसके बाद healthcare product में I tried a lot of things. We were building something similar to Fitbit. Somehow we were not able to launch that in the market, but then the exposure which we got from that to understand what is the real architecture and things happening behind startup, because startup banana is one thing, but to get a fund to raise that, scale that is a altogether different aspect. So since then I was into corporate completely. Like last 3 years I was working in IBM as a data scientist. Have learned a lot of things from corporate because corporate experience also teaches you a lot of things, be it in the form of discipline, timelines, roadmap, anything. So there are a lot of learnings from that part. And trust me, now getting into this startup ecosystem completely, it is altogether a different journey. Now I'm on the verge that uh, कोई भी बच्चे या कोई भी लोग मुझसे इंटरेक्ट करे तो आई विल बी ऑफ दैट ओपिनियन कि आधे घंटे में इनको कन्विंस कर देना कि अगले दिन कुछ स्टार्टअप खोल. So that has been my journey, sir, in a very short manner. Yeah.
And that's the reason it's called journey. What is ALAP? In short?
So we pronounce it in a little different manner. So we call it a lap. So if you break the word a and lap, so lap is basically racing track where we see lap completed, right? So whenever we see any motor car racing or a Formula One racing, there are like 30, 40 laps which they have to complete to win the race. So what we are trying to portray in the market is like give your one lap of your life. That is आप एक lap हमें दे दीजिए. We'll try to transform that lap into completely something different. So you have your 60 years or 70 years of your lap. We just require one lap of your life, and we'll try to transform that completely. Our logo also depicts something of that sort. We have a A-shaped having a womb of a mother. So if what we are trying to depict is like we'll start from the very bottom when you are born in this world. and then we'll try to push you to the summit, that is Mount Everest. So we are not claiming everything, but then we'll definitely try that you have to do, or you have to do it on your own. We have two taglines: carve your own path, आप अपना रास्ता खुद बनाते हो, and turn your passion into reality. जो आप सोचते हो, समझते हो, जो अच्छा लगता है, आप उसको अपने रियलिटी में कीजिए. I guess only 10 or 15% of the people in the world are able to achieve that. And I feel lucky that I'm at least trying to follow that path. Yes, sir.
Amazing, amazing. That's amazing, really. The concept, the idea, the motivation behind that, that's amazing, no doubt about that.
Yes.
And Karthik, what is your vision? Where you want to reach through this startup?
So I don't call this as a startup, first of all. So this is a initiative. A initiative because startup is meant for something generating a lot of revenue, making a lot of money through products or something of that sort. But an initiative, what I call personally, is to give back to the community, try to leverage that community to turn and give that impact so that the community can itself turn that things on over. That is, अगर मैं ये काम कर सकता हूँ तो कम्युनिटी के कोई और लोग भी ये काम कर सकते हैं. So that's what that leveraging power I'm trying to give that to the community. So our plan is very simple. Today, what we see in the ecosystem, let's talk about innovation or startup ecosystem. Currently, there are a lot of loopholes because none of the schools have kind of got into that sector where they can give in a real aspect of what an innovation or design thinking or startup is all about. Today we have a lot of things, Atal Tinkering Labs, Niti Ayog, lot of things. They are trying to install a lot of labs in a lot of the schools. But then if you go to the ground level, let's talk about tier 3 and tier 4 cities. There are not much happening in those schools, to be very honest. And introducing entrepreneurship and AI as a subject will not turn a lot of things. It will not happen overnight that people will start innovating and build a lot of things. But then to give them that right exposure, right experience, how a farming is done, how a rainwater harvesting is done, how are the sustainable development goals subdivided into 16, 17 goals. If we give in those real life exposure which they see in every day, how a Flipkart application is giving recommendation to the products, how a television, Netflix, or maybe Amazon Prime Video is giving recommendation as per your viewer history. So if you are not able to depict those things which they are seeing it in daily life, they will not become curious to understand more problems which they see in their daily life. I'll give you one example. Recently, last Sunday, we hosted something called Startup Treasure Hunt. So we have seen treasure hunt a lot of times, right? But then startup treasure hunt was something new when we experimented that. We tried to carve the complete journey of a startup. That is, usually startup में क्या होता है, आप सबसे पहले आइडिया फिगर आउट करते हो, उसके बाद आप उस प्रोडक्ट को मार्केट में ले जाके सर्वे करते हो कि वेदर दैट प्रोडक्ट इज फीजिबल और नॉट, फिर आप उनको बेचते हो, फिर आप वो सर्वे को आके फिर से आप रीट्रेट करके प्रोडक्ट में चेंज करते हो. Imagine this as a treasure hunt. We played with 7 tasks, and trust me, people of age 7 also came, and even 70 also came. So that was a win-win situation for us. That without even inviting people, people started coming in just for the sake of gift, maybe. But then they were also able to kind of complete all those 7 tasks. So people are there who wish to experiment or try things, but then there is no platform who are helping them to kind of grow or reach to that level where they have an idea, but how to reach to the market is a loophole. Some people don't even have an idea, but then the awareness, the platform, the curiosity, there is nothing developed right now in tier 3 and tier 4 cities. That's what we are trying to kind of portray in the market कि आप अगर कुछ अलग करना चाहते हैं, we are here to help you out.
Wow, that's very good to hear. In which city have you hosted that activity?
So currently we are based in Jamshedpur, and we are doing a lot of activities around Jharkhand as a state. So Jamshedpur people know for Tata. Usually all the people across the globe will know Tata for the deeds and the work he's already doing in. But then there is no alternative to Tata in Jamshedpur. Like Jamshedpur is not known for any other name.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that
That's
is
right.
my dream, that we should at least create one other name, not me, but then if I am able to create one name other than Tata in this city, that will be a dream for me.
That's good. That's good. You mentioned that people starting from the age of 7 to 70 participate. So may I ask you who is your right target audience, or who is your the best fit target audience for you?
So honestly, like whatever research work we have done from last 2 3 years, we have seen that the best age group where the students are most curious, or maybe they are significantly thinking about what next in their career or what should we do, what to do. That is 12 to 16 age group. That is, you can talk about classes 8 to 10 or 11th, because majorly most of the decision of their career are taken in this time period. Because once you take science, commerce and arts, you are fixed to kind of do BBA, BCom, BTech, anything of that sort. But then that time period to understand what is your passion, what is your creativity area, where you can exactly get into that SWOT analysis part, what we try to do in our platform as well, that is completely missing right now in the market. So our target audience is completely that school sector plus the college sector. Because in tier 3 tier 4 cities, what is happening is like people are not talking about innovation at all. And most of the colleges, if you see in metropolitan cities, they talk of innovation throughout the day, because they understand how important it is for the college in itself. Because the college will get better ranking based on that innovation index itself. If they are having patents, if they are having startups from their campus, the college value gets definitely boomed up along with the placements. So that is our target market. We are trying to kind of portray school students are a target market of age group 12 to 16, and yes, college students with add-on benefits as well.
Very good, very good. So, Kartik, what is your roadmap? From where to start and where you are going to take it?
So let's take an example. Like we are in talks with a lot of colleges and schools right now in Jharkhand as a city. Sorry, Jharkhand as a state. So what we have seen is like uh, first goal is to kind of have innovation fest. Currently, we have seen cultural fest, technical fest, which happens in all the colleges across India. But there is nothing called innovation fest, because none of the college fraternity or school fraternity never thought we should host something of that sort, because they never thought that ये बहुत important है. But we need to understand that innovation in itself is a very big thing in corporate as well, and even apart from corporate as well. So we need to kind of club that. So innovation fest is our first offering, which we are trying to depict to all the colleges across India and even schools as well. And for that, we are planning to do innovation tour across our country. So innovation to just like Rahul Gandhi is doing India's Ghumo Yatra. So we need to do innovation tour in our country as well, because that will kind of flow in a new energy, new sensation, where Modi ji's vision will also might match to what we are trying to depict. Along with that, we have designed a 6 months boot camp where we talk about a holistic development of a child. So becoming an entrepreneur is one thing, but to build that mindset requires a lot of energy and a lot of vision to be there. So we have designed a 6 months of boot camp which kind of depicts everything at large, right from personality, becoming a leader in itself, getting the real life skills. By life skills I mean is like एसी है मेरे घर में, फैन है मेरे घर में, बट देन हाउ डू वी अंडरस्टैंड हाउ इट इज वर्किंग फ्रॉम बिहाइंड. जब तक हमें वो चीज नहीं पता होगा. आई रिमेम्बर आज से 10 साल पहले घर में कोई इलेक्ट्रिशियन, कोई प्लम्बर नहीं आता था. वी यूज्ड टू डू एवरीथिंग ऑन आवर ओन.
Yes,
बट देन द करेंट जनरेशन व्हाट वी सी इन, फोन लगता है, अर्बन क्लैप को फोन करेंगे या किसी को भी करेंगे, दे विल कॉल सम इलेक्ट्रिशियंस फ्रॉम आउटसाइड एंड दे विल चार्ज 500 and 1000 and they will go. So we are losing out on a lot of things which we are seeing it in our daily life, and we are interested in seeing things which are there on mobile phones, internet, or trying to understand what is not present in our house. So it's very important to first understand ki what is happening around us and then kind of get into the other part of it. And yes, the third part which we are including in our uh, module is related to design thinking, brainstorming ideas. How do we pitch? How do we kind of articulate your idea, get into the market, understand the market? So we have couple of offerings there as well. So innovation fest, boot camps, and yes, incubation as well. So incubation part is also coming in very fast. So we are trying to tie up with a lot of initiatives and maybe some communities as well to kind of help the ideas to grow in. Um, because the first point usually students will ask is like, I need funding. But then funding is the last part usually. If you
yes,
have an idea, if you are building on that part, it becomes very easy to get fund. So that's
very
the
good.
plan.
I love the concept that it's very important to understand what's happening around us. That
Correct.
help us to build a strong foundation. And once you have a strong foundation, of course, you can jump wherever you want to. That's
Correct.
lovely.
Yes, sir.
Karthik, in new education policy of the government of India, I think they focus a lot on the entrepreneurship, innovation, etc. What are your take on that?
So there are a lot of good stuffs which are written in the document. I am not promising on what will be implemented on ground. So if we talk about that new education policy, they have introduced entrepreneurship as a subject in 8th standard. And Delhi government in their government colleges, they have already introduced that subject, and teachers are already teaching that part. But I am not sure the teachers who are teaching that part in schools whether they are qualified enough to kind of teach that subject as a subject. It should not turn into another history or geography subject, but then entrepreneurship should be something which should be taught in real world. Because I see in MBA colleges as well, but I do have a lot of complaints from MBA as a degree. But then what I see is in MBA colleges we have PGDM in entrepreneurship and development, but then after 2 years, are they really starting a company? Or in that 2 years of time frame, are they trying to start a company? Is not even checked by that colleges. And that is the worst part, because even after doing entrepreneurship as a subject for 2 years, if you are not able to start a company, then there is no point learning the theoretical part of it. And I am worried that it might also transfer in schools as well. It will be another subject which will be taught, and people will mug up things and then answer the questions. But somehow we need to get into that real aspects. That is but good part that at least government is thinking on that line.
Yes,
In sixth standard, they have introduced artificial intelligence as a subject, thinking that maybe students will get that exposure which is very much required, because most of the students in our country is lacking that exposure. um, in US, in Canada, or in UK, what we have seen in that school culture is like they don't have these many number of exams how much we are having in India right now. Unit test, term exams, there are so many exams and students are occupied only in exams. There they are focusing on a lot of use cases. They're kind of experimenting on a lot of research paper publications from school level itself. And that is very important, because if you are studying on a topic, if a student goes through that topic on his own, prepares a document or a use case, he will remember that forever. But then anything which is kind of just taught and people are just learning and mugging up things, it cannot be remembered for at least next 15 days also. So we need to kind of get into that practical aspect. We need to understand what is required. It can be like something which can be done inside their campus itself. Most of the schools and colleges doesn't have rainwater harvesting process, and it is not something which is a rocket science. It can be developed in 5 days or 7 days. Even the students of that school can be taught and they can develop that part. So we need to figure out how the campus or the school or colleges can do things internally in the campus which can rejuvenate a lot of innovation in their campus. I remember one thing from Japan. So Japan uses fugai. Fugai is one technique which they use right now. So what they do there is they'll go for roaming around one day completely in their city or in their campus. And what they will do is whatever things can be done on that very day by themselves, they will mark it as yellow. And whatever things require external help, they'll mark it as red. So what happens is all the yellow things can be implemented or done by them. So they start trying to execute them slowly and steadily. And all the red things are kind of reported to the institute or the government or whatever, and they start taking up those things. So they identify a lot of problems in that process, and that is a very interesting process because you are going as a group, and then you start solving slowly one step at a time. So usually that technique is not getting utilized in our country right now, because none of them will ask you, did you find any problem today? Going to school one day, coming at night, none of the parents will ask you, did you figure out something today, something new? None of them is going to ask you, but they will ask you, what is the homework today and when are you completing? So that is where the gap lies, and that's what we have to work it out together as a team and as a community, as a India citizen as well. Yes, sir.
and the parents used to ask how much marks you have got, and what are the marks of your friends. So so we focus a lot on the mark system, and they focus a lot on the learning, and
Correct.
that's the real gap here in India.
Correct. Yes, sir.
So in your this initiative, you are going to plug that gap to some extent.
Definitely, 100%. Like our goal is definitely to kind of give the real life exposure, whatever things. Because if you see, We cannot teach decision making to anyone, right?
Yes.
But then we can give a lot of scenarios to them, so that they can, with that experience, they can understand what is right, what is wrong, right? And there is no course in the world which is teaching decision making, but then at least that exposure, that experience to understand what is right or what is wrong, that is very important. I'll give you one example. Usually हम लोग पार्टी में जाते हैं, शादी की रिसेप्शन में जाते हैं, and there are 2 3 stalls kept for veg, right? But people are still curious और anxious about that कि वो वाले स्टॉल में कुछ ज्यादा तो नहीं है, तो वो चेक करने के लिए जाते हैं। वो चेक करने जाते हैं, and that is exactly which is happening everywhere. मतलब it can be related to lot of things, because वहाँ पे वो decision making process ऐसा रहता है, वो doubtful रहता है हमेशा. You cannot stick to one thing. हम लोग रेस्टोरेंट में जाते हैं, we have a group of 5 or 6 students, people will say, tell me what you want to order. One or two will be there definitely who will wait for others to order, and then based on that he or she will tell me what you order.
Yes.
So that decision making process, somehow in the lower stage of their life or early career of their life, somehow they have missed that, or they have not learned through because of the surrounding they have lived in, or whatever experiences they would have had. So it's all about having that curious mindset, a strong decision maker. That's what creates a lot of leaders. And if we are able to create leaders, they will start thinking in that way, because we lack a lot of leaders in the society nowadays. Yes, sir.
That's the amazing part, making leaders, because leader, it doesn't matter whether it's a job or entrepreneurship or politics or whatever. We need leaders a lot.
Correct.
And of course, in India, I've seen that once you tell the leader, so leader comes with, I think, uh, not with a very good reputation, you can say. है
Correct.
ना?
Yes.
But the actual meaning of leader is a leader, and we need a lots of leader.
Yes.
Karthik, one thing remind me, we are not very good in tackling failures, to
Hmm.
accept failure, and
Hmm.
that is one of the reasons of not having so many entrepreneurs here.
Yes,
What
sir.
you say, though?
And like being an entrepreneur in itself is like you have to tackle a lot of failures, otherwise you cannot become an entrepreneur. And there are a lot of biographies, like if you talk about any of the biographies of an entrepreneur, they'll have a lot of struggles, and they will show lot of failures. But what we lack in those biographies is they do not give solution to those struggles. And if you see and read any of the biographies, I have read almost 50 biographies, but then I have never found any solution. It is always about the scenarios, what was the failure, but how they have exactly turned the table around, that has been missing in all the biographies. But then we have to accept the fact that if you have failed, so I follow one philosophy in life. uh, we would have studied sine wave in mathematics, right? So it is like when it is going up, it is like I am earning, that is I am making money. When it is coming down, I am learning. So I
Yes.
follow that philosophy, that when I am earning, that means my sine wave is going up. When I am coming down, that is my failure or learning stage. So whenever you are tackling any failure or disappointment or rejection anywhere, it should be somehow not captured as key we have to improve that or something of that sort, but then we should definitely write it somewhere, because next time whenever we kind of tackle that or retackle that same concept, अगर मुझे आज वो दरवाजा के अंदर घुसने नहीं मिला, I did not get that appointment, but if I have written that in that some notebook, next day when I get that appointment, trust me, that confidence is altogether different. But then you should remember that. So remembering your failures will eventually help you to kind of tackle those. If you are not remembering your failures and you are ignoring that fact, then it becomes very difficult to kind of improve anytime, or maybe you cannot even improve anytime. So we have to kind of observe those failures, write it somewhere, so that you remember every time and you know how to kind of get to that next stage. So that will be my advice, and that's what I follow as of now.
That's good.
Yes, sir.
And that's the reason they used to say that failure is a stepping stone to success.
Correct. And people also say, like Virat Kohli also said, like I follow cricket a lot. So like the sooner you fail, the better you become. Because most of the people become very strong, they go to a very high level in life and then they fail. Then it is very hard for them to accept that failure. But if you are failing early, that becomes you are mentally already very strong. So that becomes very easy journey for you to kind of get that success.
two main streams you have chosen, that entrepreneurship and the innovation. In both of these streams, failures happen a lot, because you see innovation, whether it's Newton or whoever scientist, they failed hundreds, even thousands of times. And the same with entrepreneurs, they failed a lot, and that's the reason of their success.
Correct. Yes, sir. True.
So you are not teaching them only to do that innovation or entrepreneurship. You are building their stronger mindset, and
Exactly.
that helps them to succeed.
Yes, sir. Exactly.
So you will have to, I think, मे बी शायद कुछ गालियाँ ज़्यादा खानी पड़ेंगी, क्योंकि you are on the path where people are going to fail at least in the initial attempt. So maybe parents will not like that idea that their son or daughter is going to fail initially, because they think in terms of security,
Exactly.
and
Yes.
and this is not the path of security, at least in the short term.
Yes, sir. And
So
what
what you
I've
have for that?
yeah, so what I've seen today, like not today, like past 2 years, like I've been interacting with a lot of teachers, a lot of parents, and I've seen that slowly after COVID. So before COVID, the scenario was little different, but then after COVID, people have started realizing that they should do one more thing in their life apart from their usual work. So even if they are employed as a job in a corporate life or anywhere they are employed, but then they try to figure out one more thing which they are passionate about, because usually what happens is after their college life people will start forgetting their passion for next 30-40 years until they retire. And if they are forgetting their passion till 60, then it becomes very difficult to kind of get back
Yes.
to your passion. So nowadays what I've seen that people are slowly trying to divert their 1 hour or 2 hours of their life to follow that passion. But then there is no platform which is kind of helping them to revamp that passion back again. So as a platform we are trying to help those kind of people as well. So if you are working somewhere but still you wish to try something of your own or maybe try something of your hobby, let's take an example. Someone in corporate wants to become an interior designer, and he had a lot of interest in past, he did a lot of things, but then they are not aware of the fact that how should or what should be the journey all about. So in our platform also we have mentors from all the domains, and we are onboarding very actively a lot of mentors from all the domains which are existing in the market. So we try to map those people to those mentors to understand what can be the possible path which they can take so that they can reach to that level. Even if they are spending 2 hours of their day, what is the possibilities of getting to that level in next 2 years? And that is really important, because if you are able to follow your passion, trust me, the outcome becomes 200% and the input becomes just 50%. But if you are employed somewhere and you're not enjoying much, even if you put 200%, the outcome will be just 50%. Somehow that has been the journey with 90 or 95% of the Indians. If you talk to any IT guy or anyone, and trust me, if you are talking in outside their campus of their IT job, none of them will be happy somehow, because they get the salary on 30th or 1st of every month, but then that is very difficult to kind of survive in those 29 days. So that's where I see that people have to start following their passion somehow. They cannot just give up on what they have thought in their childhood, but they are not able to follow that path. But at least uh, pipeline should be following beside, even if it is like one stone at a day, but they should at least have that pipeline for 3-4 years. And trust me, after 3-4 years it becomes very easy to kind of follow that pipeline completely. So that's how most of the entrepreneurs have been building that. None of them like started at 12 and became a millionaire. Yes, there are a lot of individuals who are millionaire at 15 as well, and we will have those as our brand ambassador very soon. So on our platform there will be a lot of entrepreneurs who are below 15 and they are making a lot of money and they have excelled in their life. So we'll definitely try to portray them as well in future. Yes, sir.
So, Karthik, you mentioned about the people who are not yet 15 and are millionaire. That's very good. So, how are you going to motivate those school students? Of course, these examples are very, very few. And as I mentioned earlier, the parents at least, they think security, they follow the conventional path.
Correct.
So, and in the beginning of this talk, you mentioned about that the startup treasure hunt. So, do
Yeah.
you have other ideas where people can learn entrepreneurship or innovation in some fun way?
Definitely. So, whatever activities or whatever sessions we have been doing in schools and colleges, it has been only fun event. So, even if we have to explain anything of a very technical term, let's take an example: product market fit. It is a very technical term in startup ecosystem. But then, if we have to teach them through a game, we pick up a balloon, we pick up a paper and a pen, and we play one game. And at the end of the game, we say that what you have understood is product market fit. So we cannot tell them that we are teaching this thing to students,
Yeah.
because they will not accept these hard terminologies. But then we have to kind of sell these ideas in a way that they have done that eventually, and then they understand what I have done that actually. So that's how we are trying to build that complete ecosystem. We are not a AR, VR, augmented reality or virtual reality gaming platform, but then we are a physically gaming platform which kind of goes into the school, goes into the ecosystem directly, and try to portray them through a lot of games, a lot of activities. You would have seen a very famous game that is a communication game, right? There will be a chain of 10, 15 people standing. One message will be given to the first person in the line, that is some actions, and then they have to kind of portray the last
Yeah.
one, right?
Yes, yes.
So that is very interesting, and what that is very fun event. It goes for 5 to 7 minutes, but then the outcome, the takeaway is huge, right? That communication in itself can be done for corporate as well. It can be done for any policy legacy which is going from a team. If you are building a team, that communication also comes in. So there are a lot of learnings which are associated with that, and if we are able to portray those small things in a daily life routine way, that it becomes very easy for them, and school students do accept that part. Even parents start accepting, because most of the decision maker in school are parents, because students cannot take choices or decisions on their own. So if parents start enjoying this process because they didn't had in their school age,
Yeah.
then it becomes very easy that they start pushing their child ki you should also
Yeah,
take
yeah,
that
yeah.
part. So that's the way which we are following right now.
Very good, very good. I'm happy to listen that. You mentioned about games. You are an IT guy. So, gamification is in the pipeline because I have seen in some Western countries they teach that entrepreneurship through gamification. So, do you have that in pipeline?
Definitely, like getting into the AR VR world is very important right now, because let's take an example. If I have to teach a child about farming, what are the farming techniques which are getting followed in Punjab or in Uttarakhand? I cannot take them to Uttarakhand or maybe on Punjab, but then through that AR VR technology, at least I can give the correct insights of that field, how the farming techniques are getting done. If we are getting that field to that child, that he's on the farm, is working on the farm, and then trying to understand all the technicalities, it becomes very easy, and that experience kind of gets into their head. But then if we tell them through a video or something of that sort, that feeling doesn't come in there. So that gamification approach, that giving them the real experience through the platform directly, becomes very important. And yes, that will be in pipeline for next 2 years definitely. But then currently at this ecosystem, what we see in is like, we'll be more prevalent, or we'll prefer more physical interaction, because building that community, building that ecosystem, that trust becomes very much important. But this gamification will definitely turn out to be a game changer once we get into this.
As we discussed, there are so many stakeholders: schools, colleges, parents, beside the students, and of
Yes.
course, the industry or the mentors, whatever you call it. So, to take all these people together, what is your strategy for that?
So honestly, mentors will be the pillars of any of the platform, because to lead a team, to build a team completely, the mentors who will be interacting with the end users becomes the very important pillars of our platform. Taking on the other side, parents and students, school kids, because they are not decision makers, we'll be not targeting much on them, but then we'll be betting more on the student, sorry, the faculties, or maybe the school owners and the parents as well. So the model is little different there, but then the strategy is very clear. We have to work as a team to kind of collate uh, and understand, if a mentor is coming forward to help us, we have to kind of have a collaborative model coming from school as well, because We cannot have one thing coming and we are not able to map that part. So everywhere we have to have a common mapping which is getting done at the back end by a team, and that's how we are trying to relate the complete ecosystem. Because just to get idea into a pipeline and getting into the market, it requires a complete stage, right? So we have built an idea that requires a different mentor. We have got into the technical skill set of the part, then we require a different team, and then we kind of get into the marketing strategy that requires a different team. So that's where all the channels come into picture. And the best part is like, students at a very early age, whatever things they pick up, they market it in a very huge manner. If they see one thing, if they enjoy one thing they'll try to market it to the complete world, whomsoever they talk to in everyday life. So that's how our goal will be. like आप ये भी देखे होंगे दैट स्टूडेंट्स, बच्चे कोलगेट यूज करते हैं या क्लोजअप यूज करते हैं. सो दैट इज वन थिंग जो सारे बच्चे सिमिलर यूज करते हैं अगर उनके डेली लाइफस्टाइल में घुस जाता है. एंड इन नॉर्मल ह्यूमन बीइंग आल्सो, लाइक विल बी यूजिंग दैट टूथपेस्ट फॉर 10 15 20 25 years एंड विल नॉट चेंज दैट. सो दैट इज आवर स्ट्रैटेजी कि अगर हम लोग घर में घुस जाते हैं किसी भी घर में, इफ वी गेट इनटू दैट, अगर वो बच्चे इस्तेमाल करना स्टार्ट कर देते हैं, तो वो 10-15 साल तक वो इकोसिस्टम में इट शुड गेट स्टैब्लिश्ड. So that is our goal. If we are able to help one child, we'll eventually kind of get 5 families sorted in their home. And that is how employment will also get created. So that is our primary goal that is we are working towards.
Any specific study for that? You mentioned about that penetrating home self-filter. So any specific strategy for the families or the parents or society in general?
So as of now, there are we do a lot of events, meetups. We host a lot of meetups every month. We'll have a meetup which will be done across our city or whatever cities we are based in. So currently, like we have team members from different cities. So slowly we will step down into different cities as well. So our plan is very simple that we'll have a focal leader in every city. So every city will have one focal leader, and all the schools and colleges will be in tight communication with that focal leader. Every focal leader will have volunteers associated with him. Those volunteers will be from either road track clubs or lion clubs, so whatever clubs are getting hosted in that city. So those volunteers will be helping us in driving that communication between those schools. So they will visit schools and colleges very frequently just to take an update on the progress what is happening from the central level. Because from central level we are having a lot of boot camps, lot of sessions, innovation fest, innovation tour. But then to kind of have that on the local level, we have these focal leaders who will be responsible for helping those volunteers to understand what will happen at the ground level. So that will be our structure, and that is how we are trying to penetrate in different cities as well. So we'll appoint a lot of focal leaders from different cities. Those focal leaders will try to form communities in that city, and then slowly we penetrate into those schools and colleges in that city. And then we have a central team which works across to kind of have that ecosystem running.
And that is going to take lots of money.
Exactly.
So what is your plan? How to you are going to get funding or maybe whatever you call it?
So we will be an NGO Section 8 company. So we are working on that lines. Only reason being because we are kind of planning to kind of get the CSR funds from the companies, and it cannot be given to private companies or LLP companies. But then as an NGO, because we wish to kind of create more employment in the society, trying to have that ecosystem built in at school level as well as college level, our plan is to kind of get funds from the CSR activities or CSR funds of the companies. And slowly and steadily we are also trying to kind of collaborate with a lot of ecosystem from different countries. So right now we have a influencer who is working on building the startup ecosystem in Sri Lanka. So we are already tied up with them, and we'll be working towards building that in India and in Sri Lanka. So what we do is like we kind of help people understand the ecosystem what is there in that country and what is happening in our country. So that is how international collaborations will also happen very slowly. Right now from India there are a lot of communities which are working towards this ecosystem, and there are some big names as well. Slowly and steadily, once we have good amount of tie-ups from schools and colleges, we'll definitely collaborate with them as well. We might become a third party for them to organize a lot of events in tier 3 and tier 4 cities, because their reach is only metropolitan cities. But in tier 3 and tier 4 cities, we don't have any names or anything working on ground right now. And most of the innovation or most of the things will happen from these cities as well. Trust me, when we talk about Jharkhand, Bihar, UP as a state, I name this no I name those because I have been closely associated with those. So most of the laborers are from these states only. आप बैंगलोर चल जाओ, आप दिल्ली चल जाओ, जब कोविड आया था तो झारखंड, बिहार, यूपी के ही लेबर सबसे पहले ट्रेन में आके भाग रहे थे. The only reason being, यहाँ पे they don't get that infrastructure, that
Yes.
platform, and they have to go to other cities, migrate, and then find jobs or something of that sort. But then if you kind of tell them that you can be self-taught to do things in your city at your place itself and you can still make money, that will be something which will be a game changer in itself. So our focus is definitely metro cities, but then that is on the back side of it. But then tier 3, tier 4 cities where we don't have that ecosystem right now, that exposure कि भाई आप घर में भी रह के पैसा कमा सकते हो, that's what we are trying to build in, and that's where we'll try to have CSR funds associated with us.
I think government of India also has these kinds of projects. So I think you can also take that kind of projects from state level or the central level, in addition to taking help from the corporates.
Yes, sir. Definitely. Like we have that in loop and we'll try to collaborate with them as well as soon as possible.
A few days back, I'm discussing with an officer of a local chamber of commerce.
Okay.
And they tell that that's a very good thing, and I think they would love to collaborate in such initiatives. I think
For sure, sir. Definitely, if that connection can be built, definitely we'll try to get into all the chamber of commerce across our country.
very good, very good. So, how many members are there in your team at moment, and what is your next path?
As of now, we have like close to 7 core members who are associated with us, and we have couple of interns who will be joining us very soon. So the it has been a very difficult journey, to be very honest. So to kind of find right people to kind of get associated with your vision, where there is no revenue involved but just the plan, just the idea, that too in a very scattered manner, it is very difficult to find that people who are working with you collaboratively and trying to understand what has to be done things on ground. Because a lot of people will get associated. Usually I'll tell this because most of the entrepreneurs who would be listening to this in future will be like, team kaise banaye? Because if you have an idea, it is not important ki kali you will have a team also and people will start joining and you will start building the product. So it becomes very important कि आप टीम बनाने में भी टाइम स्पेंड करें, because those will be the pillars if you have to go to long run, long lasting बनना है तो. So there were a lot of challenges, yes, but I can strongly say that we have 7 core members right now who are working actively, and we have to kind of get to that plan. Maybe by January we'll have a proper roadmap ready. We'll have a lot of teams who will be actively working on couple of more segments which we are trying to launch in January month. So as we promise, so when we go to colleges, we promise that we'll help you to improve your innovation index of your campus. So in that we have startups, we have research paper publication, we have hackathons, meetups, idea pitch competition, or innovation fest as well. So we kind of working towards all those 3 pillars, where we'll try to help that campus value to also increase. Apart from those students value, the college should also get that feeling that इससे हमारा भी फायदा हो रहा है, या स्कूल को कि इससे हमारा भी फायदा हो रहा है. That's where it becomes a win-win situation for the society as well to understand what is happening from our side, and that is our usual policies and plans which we are running towards.
Very good, Karthik. The current chairman of UGC, I think that guy is also very, you can say, new with new mindset. He's a growth mindset, you can say, and he is promoting such kind of initiative where people need to move beyond that conventional model. So I think through the new initiatives of UGC, we can penetrate into his colleges and universities and implement our ideas, our initiatives.
Definitely, sir. Like I am connected with AICTE team indirectly, and I did get into some conversation with them 2 months back. So, but then honestly, I shouldn't say, but then there are a lot of politics involved there.
Yes,
And
yes.
there are a lot of parties associated with that where they will try to portray their people to kind of get associated with these things. But then definitely, yes, we are still in touch with them. We have a conversation built over that. But then we have to prove our point somewhere in other cities or states so that they can kind of handhold us rather than just pick us or choose us. So we have to be in that situation, but then still, yes, the options are open. We just have to figure out a proper door where we can get into and figure out the problems.
As you mentioned, of course, politics is a part of the game, so we will have to face a lot of that,
Yes, sir.
and we are ready for that, I think.
Yes, sir.
Good. So, as you mentioned about the hand holding, so is it possible to have some senior professionals or the industry or someone who can handhold us to the next level?
Yes, definitely. Like we are also trying to connect with few of them from different countries, or maybe not different countries. The NRIs of India who are based in different
Yeah,
countries,
yeah, yeah.
because they really understand what has to be done in our country, which they are experiencing or getting the exposure from different countries, and they really want to see that impact or change happen in our country as well.
Yes, yes.
So we need to figure out some channels, some interaction channels which can happen through them, where we can see that vision and vision coming to our country as well. And that is where we need to figure out how we can reach out to them. I am personally reaching out to few of the people, yes, but then we have to see how we can have that possibility coming in from different channels as well. So as a team, we have to work collaboratively, and yes, our team is already working on that part as well. It's just that our manpower is missing as of now. We don't have a lot of manpower who are working with us, but slowly or steadily, I see that people would be joining us, and I encourage students to kind of get into our ecosystem just to understand the ecosystem, because you not only work on content marketing or anything, but then you get into a situation where you understand the complete startup ecosystem. It's not a corporate company or something of that sort, but you understand the complete ecosystem. So there is one or two good news, like we are already associated with four startups, already registered company who's working from 2 3 years, who are already associated with our platform. So we are helping them and guiding them towards getting into or scaling them properly. Along with that, we are working with 4 5 ideas from schools and colleges, which we kind of get from events which we host through idea pitch competition or these innovation fest. And we are also helping them to kind of get into that stage where they can build that MVP product and they can launch in the market. So we are already working with few of the teams and few of the ideas which are coming from market. It's just a matter of time to kind of get to the right schools and colleges where we can have ample amount of ideas, ample amount of manpower, and then we kind of scale in the market directly.
That's good. So, related with what you just said, don't you think it would be good to launch some incubators?
So we are planning to kind of also tie up with a lot of incubators, maybe because that kind of solves a lot of problems. Because if we have a tie up done with a lot of incubators, most of the headache goes to those incubators directly. But then personally, my dream is to work as an incubator. So that is where a few of the startups and few of the ideas we are already working with. Because if I give someone that concept, it becomes little difficult.
Yes.
If when we are working with those ideas, eventually it's like we are also getting a lot of ideas, and that is where our team can grow internally as well. Because once a people starts working with 10 15 ideas, eventually personality wise, skill wise, he or she is also developing his skills. So yes, that is also on the pipeline, but then that requires one thing which we are lacking drastically is funding. Because if we are not able to give that initial seed fund to those startups or ideas which are getting incubated, then it's a tough life for those kids as well.
It will.
Yes, sir.
It will be. Of course, the journey is tough, but of course, if we have that vision, we will reach there. We are
Definitely.
in the December of 2022, the last month of 2022. We are going to meet again in the December of 2023. So, what different I'm going to listen at that time?
So we are doing a lot of pilots next year. Like we're doing a lot of pilot program, and as of now, we don't have any revenue. So I'll be very honest. Whenever I'm talking anywhere as an entrepreneur, you have to be very honest. If you are not
Yes,
generating any revenue, speak it loud that you are not generating revenue. That will kind of give a lot of pressure to generate revenue by next year. So that is our plan, to have that first revenue fall kind of flowing in by January in our market. And the plan is like, at least I in state of Jharkhand. Let's talk about Jharkhand because I'm focusing a lot in this state, but then definitely we'll expand to other states as well. So at least 50 ideas is what my aim to kind of develop to that stage that they have a product ready, and at least 50 schools and colleges where we have tied up with, and we are working with those kids constantly. So 50 ideas and 50 schools and colleges, that is our plan to kind of have by next December.
very good. Along with how many mentors?
60 plus.
Good.
So 60 plus, by 60 I mean all the 60 domains which are existing in the
Yeah,
market.
yeah, yeah. I'm getting that.
So being a makeup artist or maybe RJ or a life coach, so there are 60 domains which we are targeting right now.
Very good. And at the same time, you are expecting certain kind of funding from CSR fund or maybe government fund or something like that.
Definitely, sir. Yes, sir.
Very good, very good. Thank you so much, Karthik, for being here and sharing your vision, your mission, how you are going to change the innovation and entrepreneurship in our country. That's empowered India. Thank you so much, and we wish you a lot. You are going because you. It's not you who is going to succeed. It's the young generation of the country that is going to succeed and make India more powerful. Thank you so much. See you again next time.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so